Hi, welcome to another episode on Mamas on a Mission, and I'm your host, Virginia Jimenez. And today I'm just going to talk to you guys about, I'm kind of recapping on the last video that I posted. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's 3 keys to raising confident children. And there were three main things that we talked about on this one, and it was with a guest, special guest, Rena Etienne, who's the founder of A Little Room to Grow. We talked about discipline and how that's one major key, and not only how to discipline children, but becoming more disciplined parents. You know, there is no handbook for parenting, and sometimes, I mean, even for me, I have 2 kids. It's a learning curve for me. There's still moments where I feel like, depending on their age and what they're experiencing, I'm also growing with that process. So but there's some major keys, like the disciplining part, that should stay the same. And that was one of the keys that we talked about. The other key that we talked about was autonomy, right? Allowing the children to grow independently, giving them some space for making mistakes, for learning, for, becoming independent, for exploring what that is, whether it be that you allow them to do things in the kitchen or actually clean up after themselves. And yeah, it's not going to be 100%, but you know what? It's a start. There's a starting point when we allow it to be. It's done is better than perfect, right? So the other key that we talked about was conscious communication. Now today what I wanted to do is, out of those three, there was one in particular that I wanted to kind of focus on today, and then another day we'll talk about the other ones. But I wanted to kind of give some insight for discipline. And when I was talking about discipline being not only that you discipline your children by letting them know what the right thing to do or what the wrong thing to do is, but becoming more disciplined individuals ourselves. Sometimes what we do in one area of our lives, it may be trickling into other areas of our life too, whether it be your professional life, your romantic life, your family life, right? So, and sometimes not being able to stick to your word, which is one of the things I talked about in the last video, is a major problem, especially when you're disciplining kids, when you're trying to tell them, hey, when you do that, this is the consequence for it, and then you don't stick to that word. Or even the opposite, like when you tell them, hey, you know what, this is going to be the reward for you doing this, exhibiting this behavior or doing this thing in school or whatever it is, and then you don't stick to that word. I mean, not sticking to your word is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. And what's your word to yourself? Like, what are some things that you would allow or not allow in your life? And are you allowing too many things in your life and not saying no to some things? I think that's the other aspect of disciplining ourselves a bit more. Knowing when to say no and knowing what the boundaries are. What are we allowing to take place in our life, and what will we definitely not allow in our lives? And I wanted to talk about that because I think that it's that whole concept of creating boundaries, knowing when to say no, basically standing your ground on what you believe is the right thing to do. It's something that I think women are challenged with many times because, growing up, and it's not all women, but there's a lot of women, even myself, I've encountered this situation where, you want to please other people. You want to please your boss, you want to please your boyfriend, you want to please your girlfriend, or, your friends, whoever it may be. And sometimes we, might not take the time to assess really what it is that we want. And so, then we might be an automatic pilot, just going ahead and saying, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's do this, and become a yes man. And really what we have to do is become more of a, kind of like the tortoise in the race, right? The tortoise against the hare. Instead of taking the hare's approach and going really fast and just boom, 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 yeah, let's just spit out. Let's not have this empty space in the communication. Let's not have this awkward moment where I'm possibly gonna say no to them. No, let's get a little awkward. Let's slow it down. Let's get to the pace of that tortoise. That's really gonna win the race in the end, because they're taking their time to think things through, to assess, all right, what are my boundaries? What is it that would be the most beneficial? What do I want this outcome to look like? What do I stand for? All these different questions that we should be asking ourselves in that moment of pausing and thinking things through, and then making decisions, more powerful decisions about how we lead in our family lives, more powerful decisions about how we lead in our personal relationships with other people, and more powerful about how we lead in our own businesses. And so it's really important to become very disciplined on understanding what your wants are standing your ground in your boundaries. Okay, what should you be saying yes to? What should you be saying no to? And continuing to stand firm to that. Like, you know, honor your word to yourself. Honor your word to the other people that you communicate with. You know, this is not about just pleasing people. This is about serving them. And you standing your ground and taking the lead is the best service you could do for other people. You know, growing up, I would say that, you know, I grew up like tough love. And now as an adult, I appreciate it. You know, I think that my mom was lovingly leading the way, you know, when she established boundaries and stood firmly by them. And I think that we all can learn a little bit from the script of my mom's upbringing on bringing me up and my sister up. And so I leave you with that today. Let's be a little bit more disciplined. Let's think things through. Let's maintain boundaries. Say no when you need to. You know, if it's not no, you can say something else like, you know, let me think about it. Just let's pause. Let's really think things through. Is this tying? Is this behavior? Is this answer that we give right now going to tie us or bring us closer to what we want the outcome to be? And that's your message for today. I hope to see you in the next episode. Please subscribe and like this video if you like it. Share with a friend if they need to hear it. I will be on the next video. We'll be having a Q&A section. So if you have any questions that you want answered on parenting, on business, on, you know, relationships, any of those items, this is all a channel for moms on a mission to create an extraordinary life. Okay, so feel free to send me a message. Connect with @virginiainspires.com. Remember that your circumstance does not define you. Your decisions and your actions, they certainly do. So until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.